Yo, what's up guys? It's Noah here, and in today's video, I'm going to be talking through some player props I like over on Prizepicks for the Week 11 college football slate. Going to break down some props I like for the games on Saturday. The full slate of games, got 4 plays that we're going to share in this video, guys. And as always, before we do talk through these plays, if you guys do enjoy these college football videos, if they help you out, make sure to hit that like button down below. Do always appreciate the likes. Make sure you guys hit that subscribe button as well. And if you guys are new to Prizepicks, and if you don't have a Prizepicks account, be sure to sign up, use promo code NOAH, and when you sign up for Prizepicks with my promo code and place your first lineup, you'll get $50 in promo funds instantly added to your account. So, you sign up, make a deposit. Let's say you only want to deposit $10 because you don't want to put in a bunch of money, and I understand. You deposit $10, play a $5 lineup, and even if you lose that $5 lineup, Prizepicks is going to give you $50 that you can use to play additional lineups, and any money you win off those, you can withdraw if you want to do so. So go check out Prizepicks, guys, and again, use that promo code NOAH when you do sign up. And I also do want to give a shout out to Sleeper. Sleeper is running a very cool promo right now for all new users. They're giving you a deposit match up to $1,500 when you sign up and use code NOAH. This is for a limited time only. Not exactly sure how long it's going to last, but it's available right now for new users. If you sign up for Sleeper and use code NOAH, you get a deposit match up to $1,500. So if you are someone that does have a larger bankroll and you have wanted to try out Sleeper and you want to deposit, $500, $1,000, $1,500, Sleeper is going to match that and give you an additional $500 if you deposit $500. They'll give you an additional $1,000 if you deposit $1,000. So if you have wanted to try out Sleeper and if you wanted to kind of make a bigger deposit, you're going to get your deposit matched 100% up to $1,500. Just make sure that when you sign up, you use that promo code NOAH. So go check out Sleeper, guys. They're a DFS pick'em app, very similar to Prizepicks. You're just picking more or less on player projections. You're building out an entry. You can make up to an 8-pick entry on Sleeper. You can win up to 100x your money. You can mix and match sports as well, and Sleeper does offer college football, so you can take college football props over on Sleeper. But make sure to go check them out, guys. And again, use that promo code NOAH when you do sign up. Now, let's talk through the props that I'm liking for this Week 11 slate. I do want to recap our plays from Week 10, our last video. It was a great Week 10 because we went 4-0 on the 4 picks we gave out last week. Paired Cam Ward and Xavier Restrepo. Cam Ward over 2.5 touchdowns. Xavier Restrepo over fantasy score. Both those plays came through. It was kind of a correlated stack. We talked about that in our last video. I think Cam Ward threw 4 touchdowns last week. He threw 2 touchdowns to Restrepo, so Restrepo easily went over his fantasy score. And then we took Jaden Higgins over 5.5 receptions, which was a sweat-free cash. I'm pretty sure that hit in the first half. Higgins was getting fed targets. He was racking up a bunch of receptions. And then our final play was Isaac Brown over rush yards against Clemson. And Isaac Brown had a huge game. I think he ran for like 150 yards against Clemson. So all 4 of the plays hit last week. Hopefully you guys tailed and made some money. Let's see if we can run it back this week. Let's see if we can go 4-0 again. So the first prop that I'm liking for Saturday, guys, that we're going to talk about and that we're going to break down is going to be a rush yards prop. And we're going to look at Quintravion Wisner, running back for Texas. We're going to take him for more than 77.5 rush yards. So Wisner has kind of taken over as the RB1 for Texas, just like over their last 3 or 4 games. He has out-snapped Jaden Blue. He has out-touched Jaden Blue over that stretch. Coming into the season, it was expected that C.J. Baxter would be the lead running back, but he got injured, never played, didn't play this season. So it's kind of been Blue as the lead guy with Wisner backing him up. But as of late, Wisner has started to take over as the RB1. And if we look at Wisner's last few games, last game against Vanderbilt, he got 17 carries. Against Georgia, 15 carries. Against Oklahoma, 13 carries. And against Mississippi State, 13 carries. So he's had at least 13 carries now in 4 straight games. He's been pretty efficient on the ground. Averaged 6.8 yards per carry against Mississippi State. Averaged over 9 yards per carry against Oklahoma. The game against Georgia obviously was very inefficient, but it makes sense because Georgia is one of the toughest teams to run on. And then he averaged 4.6 yards per carry last week against Vanderbilt. Well, now Texas gets a matchup at home against Florida. Florida, not a defense that we should really fear. Florida been playing a little bit better defensively, but still on the season, they're allowing over 176 rush yards per game. Florida ranks 96th out of 134 in rush yards allowed this season. So this is definitely a spot where Texas should be pretty efficient running the ball. I think Florida's given up like over 4 yards per carry as well. And Wisner's been getting a lot of the volume lately. I mean, he's gotten at least 13 carries now in 4 straight games. His snaps have been very good as well. He played 51 snaps against Georgia. He played 42 snaps last week against Vanderbilt. If he continues to see that type of workload, that type of volume in this in this friendly matchup against Florida, where Texas are big favorites. I mean, Texas is favored by like 21 in this game. So this does set up as a spot where Texas should be playing with the lead, and especially late in the game, they should be running the ball a lot, just kind of trying to kill the clock. And that should mean a lot of carries for Quintravion Wisner. And if he gets anywhere near 15, 16, 17 carries, he should be able to average probably about 4 to 5 yards per carry in this matchup at worst, and should have a good chance of going over 77.5 rush yards. So I do like that as our first prop for Saturday. Quintravion Wisner, going to take him for more than 77.5 rush yards. And then the next 2 props that we're going to play are going to be another correlated stack. So if you tailed the 4 pick that I gave out last week, we talked about how I liked pairing Cam Ward passing touchdowns with Xavier Restrepo fantasy score because those 2 props directly correlate. If Ward throws 3 touchdowns, there's a very good chance Restrepo's getting a touchdown, getting some yards, getting fantasy points, and sure enough, both hit as they correlated, as they were kind of expected to, as they were correlated. And then there's a quarterback receiver stack that I like this week that I think is really correlated. So we're going to look at Baron Morton, 255.5 pass yards. We're going to take him for more than 255.5 pass yards, and we're going to pair that with his top target, Josh Kelly, more than 78.5 receiving yards. So Morton, if you look at what he's done this season in terms of going over this line of 255.5, he's gone over this line in every game except I think 4 or 5 games this season. So he's gone over this line, I believe, half his games this year. But like one of the games he went under, he had 251, so he barely went under. That was a recent game against Cincinnati. He had 214 against Arizona. He had 137 against TCU. But we have seen Baron Morton have some big pass yard games this season. He had 378 in a overtime win against Alcorn State. He had 323 against Washington State. He had 273 against North Texas. He had 286 in a recent game against Baylor. Texas Tech, they are a team that does like to run the ball. They have a really good running back in Taj Brooks, who they give a lot of carries to. But they'll also air it out, and especially in game scripts where Texas Tech gets down and they're playing from behind, they'll throw the ball 35, 40 times. Last week against Iowa State, they threw the ball 40 times in what was kind of a close game. This should definitely be a spot where we're going to see them probably playing from behind. They're facing Colorado here. Colorado has actually looked pretty good this season. They're 6-2. They're a ranked team now. And Colorado's defense has been a little bit better. Now, we've historically thought of Colorado as kind of like a cupcake matchup because Colorado's defense has historically been tough, or has historically been bad. But this year their defense has been a little bit better. But this does still set up as a very good game environment, a very good, high-scoring type of shootout game. You look at the total in this game, even with Colorado's kind of improved defense, we still got a really high 63.5 total in this game. Colorado, they're 4.5-point favorites. So this sets up as a game script where we could see Texas Tech playing from behind. Colorado's a team that offensively is good. Like, Colorado can put up points. They're a pass-heavy offense. And if Colorado's putting up points on Texas Tech, which they probably will be able to do because Texas Tech's defense, especially against the pass, is not very good. If Colorado's putting up points, that's going to mean most likely that Texas Tech is going to be forced to throw, trying to catch up with Colorado, and that's probably going to mean more pass attempts for a guy like Baron Morton. And when Morton throws the ball, he looks to Josh Kelly. Josh Kelly's been his top target this season. You can just look at Kelly's volume as of late. I mean, you look at his targets this season, 15, 13. Then he only had 2 targets against North Texas, but I'm pretty sure that was a blowout. Then he had 13, 10, 8, 12, 8, and last week, 18 targets against Iowa State. Like, Josh Kelly's getting like 12 targets a game. I'm pretty sure he's like average 12 targets per game. So he's just getting a ton of volume. It's a great it's a great game environment. The matchup probably not as good. I do worry potentially about the wide receiver cornerback matchup if he's going to be guarded by Travis Hunter. I don't really know. I think Kelly's a receiver that does kind of travel all over the field. He'll play in the slot, and I don't know if Travis Hunter will go to the slot. So that's a little concerning, I guess, but really you're just playing for the correlation here. If Baron Morton throws for 256, there's a very good chance that Josh Kelly has 79 yards. I mean, if you just look through Baron Morton's game log this season, so against Alcorn State, he threw for 378, and in that game, Josh Kelly had 156 receiving yards. Against Washington State, Morton threw for 323, and Kelly had 95 yards. Against North Texas, Baron Morton threw for 273. That was the game where Josh Kelly only had 2 catches for 36 yards, but I think that was a blowout. He didn't get like full snaps in that game, I'm pretty sure. And then let's see. So like the game against Baylor, Baron Morton threw for 286, and in that game Kelly had 76 yards. Last week, Morton only threw for 237, but Kelly had 127 receiving yards. So like Kelly gets a lot of the pass yards from Morton. And like I said, if Morton throws for 256 or more here, there's a very good chance that Kelly is getting more than 78.5 receiving yards. So you're kind of just playing for the correlation there. You're hoping that Morton goes over, which most likely means Kelly goes over. If Morton goes under, there are definitely still scenarios where Kelly goes over. But I just like playing these together because I think they directly correlate. And when you stack these two up with 2 different plays from different games, you still get a 10x payout. Like you're not getting a payout deduction for doing a correlated stack here. So you want to definitely be playing around with the correlated stacks on Prizepicks because sometimes they will reduce the payouts for correlated stacks. But when you do a correlated stack and then you play 2 plays from different games, you don't get a payout deduction. So that's why I like including a correlated stack in our 4-pick lineup. And the correlated stack I like this week is Morton over pass yards with Josh Kelly over receiving yards. So those are 3 picks I like for Saturday. And then the third and final prop we're going to look at is going to be a fantasy score. And I like Nico Imalava for more than 19.5 fantasy score. Now, Nico Imalava has not had a great season this year. Coming into the season, a lot of people were expecting him to be one of the top quarterbacks in the country. There's a good chance, like people were saying that there's a chance that Nico Imalava would win the Heisman. And that things just haven't panned out that way. You can look at his game log. Obviously, in terms of this fantasy score line, he's not been going over this fantasy score line. But a lot of that is just due to him not getting touchdowns. You can look through his game log. So like last week against Kentucky, he did have 292 pass yards and 14 rush yards, but he only had 1 touchdown. Against Alabama, he had 1 touchdown. In that game, 1 passing touchdown. Against Florida, he had no touchdowns. Against Arkansas, he had no touchdowns. And then against Oklahoma, he had 1 passing touchdown. We haven't seen Imalava throw for 2 touchdowns since their second game of the season against NC State. And you can look at his odds this week. He's favored to throw 2 touchdowns. There's a reason his 1.5 passing touchdowns prop is a goblin on Prizepicks because the odds are favoring the over on that. So clearly, despite Imalava's numbers being down lately, the books are expecting this to be a game where he can kind of bounce back, and it's a great matchup against Mississippi State. Mississippi State's defense has been atrocious this season. They can't stop the run, they can't stop the pass, they can't stop anyone. Tennessee has a 42.5 team total, so the sportsbooks are expecting Tennessee to score like 6 touchdowns here, and if Tennessee puts up that many points, if they score 6 touchdowns, there's a very good chance that Imalava is going to have at least 2 touchdowns, whether that comes from him throwing 2 touchdowns, maybe he throws 1 and then runs 1 in. Imalava is a guy that does offer rushing upside. You can look, he's got a 30.5 rush yards prop this week. He ran for 44 yards against Alabama. He ran for 65 against NC State. Like his numbers overall have just been down. But I think kind of that could be due to some tough matchups too. Like they've had to play Alabama. They did play Florida, which I would have thought would have been a better spot. Florida's defense, again, kind of been a little bit better. Against Kentucky, though, he looked decent last week. Oklahoma, Arkansas, like these are not like just cupcake matchups. Well, this is probably the one of the best matchups you could ask for Imalava. So I get why his projections are higher this week, and I'm kind of buying into him. I'm definitely into buying low on Imalava here. I mean, you can look at his projections. He's projected for 235 pass yards. Let's say he throws for 225 yards. Well, that would give him 9 fantasy points. He's got a 30 rush yards prop. Let's say he just runs for 30 yards. That add on that's 3 more fantasy points. So he's projected for about 12 fantasy points just from pass and rush yards. And then you've got to factor in touchdowns. And like I said, he's heavily favored to throw 2 touchdowns this week. If he throws 2 touchdowns, that's 8 additional fantasy points. That now puts him at a fantasy score projection of 20. And that's assuming that he doesn't get a rushing touchdown, which he definitely could. He only has 1 rushing touchdown this season, but again, he's a mobile quarterback, so there's definitely a chance that he breaks off a long touchdown run or something like that. There's just a lot of ways for Imalava to go over this fantasy score line, and the matchup is great here. It's probably one of the best matchups you can get. And you can kind of look at projections around the industry. The projections that I look at, I like to compare the projections I look at to Prizepicks, and the ones I look at have Imalava projected around 22 fantasy points. And then if you actually go over to Underdog has college football fantasy point projections. They have their line on Imalava set at 23. So the projections I look at have Imalava at 22. Underdog has their line at 23. We're getting the line at 19.5 on Prizepicks. So I think Prizepicks is where we can get our soft line here on Imalava, and I do like buying low on him here in a great spot against Mississippi State, where Tennessee just should have no problem putting up points. I mean, there's a good chance that you see Tennessee just kind of crush everywhere. Like, I think Dylan Sampson's in line to have a really big game. I think Imalava's definitely in line to have a big game here. Again, Tennessee has a 42.5 team total. Like, they're projected to put up a lot of points this week. I think the biggest concern is, can Mississippi State put up some points so that this game doesn't just turn into a blowout? But even if it is a blowout, that probably means that these guys are already crushing and going over their projections. So really like the spot for Imalava, like buying low on him in a great matchup where Tennessee should have no problem putting up points this week. So these are the 4 props, guys, that we're going to roll with for the college football slate on Saturday. Quintravion Wisner, more than 77.5 rush yards. Baron Morton and Josh Kelly, correlated stack. Morton over pass yards, Kelly over receiving yards, and then Nico Imalava over 19.5 fantasy score. So 4 picks for Saturday, guys. We went 4-0 last week. Let's see if we can run it back and go 4-0 again this week. As always, I do appreciate you guys watching these Prizepicks videos, supporting the content. Make sure you guys hit that like button down below if you did enjoy. Hit that subscribe button as well. And again, if you guys are new to Prizepicks, if you don't have a Prizepicks account, be sure to sign up. Use promo code NOAH, and when you place your first Prizepicks lineup, you'll get $50 in promo funds instantly added to your account as long as you sign up with code NOAH. So again, check them out if you have not yet, guys. But good luck this week. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.